So I hear that you have forgotten some things about yourself. Well, I'm here to remind you today that you have a beautiful heart. You are smart and important. You are funny and caring. You are unique. You are so special. You are worthy of love, of respect and affection. You are lovable. You are stronger than you think. You are enough. Hi everybody, this is Life with Leonard and welcome to another episode. Now on this channel, if you are new here, I strive to motivate and inspire you to become the best version of yourself. And if that type of content interests you, can I kindly invite you, if you haven't, to please subscribe to my channel, to like this video and to share it. Now those things, if you like, subscribe and share, are good for the YouTube algorithms, and that way we will grow and we would be able to reach more people who you and I both know would be able to benefit from the contents of these videos. Now, emotionally unavailability doesn't necessarily mean that a man is shallow or selfish or intentionally unavailable. He may long for closeness, but he simply doesn't know how to achieve it. Whether they are impacted by societal expectations, their childhood experiences, or narcissistic personality, which is very possible as well. Emotionally unavailable men, they are missing the most important and rewarding and blissful facet of a love relationship, and that is intimacy. Before you invest any more time with a man who can't or won't allow closeness and intimacy, it's important to recognize the traits of this type of guy, and that's what I want to help you with today in this episode. I'm going to share with you 7 signs of an emotionally unavailable man. Now the first sign is his inability or difficulty expressing his emotions and feelings. Worse even, when he gives you mixed signals. You like this guy, you really want to make things work, but no matter how hard you try, you can't scratch the surface of this guy's emotions. He's uncomfortable talking about his true feelings of love, of pain, of shame and guilt, or any other feeling that might make him appear weak and vulnerable. Somehow he has learned to ignore and deny his negative emotions and has become emotionally colorblind. This type of guy has a protective wall around his emotions and can get angry or confused or even defensive if you try to penetrate it. And I'm sure you know what I'm talking about, because sometimes he might give you a glimpse of his interior world only to pull back and block you out once again. His relationship history speaks loudly. Now though we can't judge all people solely based on their history, but when it comes to relationships, it's very important to take note of the person's relationship history. You see, in general, the way people operate in relationships, how they engage, how they respond and love, these are all based on pattern responses that are often automatic and unconscious. Therefore, it's important, if someone has operated in a certain way in the past, unless they've done some really deep introspective work and made conscious, you must be very aware of this, conscious shifts, is more than likely that they will repeat their old patterns in their current relationship. When it comes to past relationships of men who are emotionally unavailable, you either see that they have never been, this type of guy have never been in a real relationship and have only had like casual flings or what they call situationships, or they've had relationships that were toxic, and that is an absolute red flag. Toxic or codependent or chronically unfulfilling. Now these are also the type of men that will more than likely blame the other person, or thinking that it was, you know what I'm talking about, it was the other person's fault, and they never take any accountability or responsibility for their part in this whole relationship. Thirdly, they are quick to blame others. When someone says or does something that reflects poorly on your man's demeanor or behavior, he is quick to blame the other person rather than, you know what, what the normal person would do is examine the possibility of his own flaws. Men who are emotionally distant often are lacking in empathy, and they view the world through the lens of their own skewed perceptions. They can't or won't see how their words and their behaviors are impacting other people. The problem arises when you, or anyone else for that matter, when you highlight this issue. Now, to the emotionally unavailable man, his response is, firstly, either he will deny it or he will attack. And quite often, the object of his attack is you. Because after all, you are the one person trying the hardest to get through to him. They are judgmental. You see, relationships are all about vulnerability. It's about trust and care. It's about sharing emotions. It's about letting someone else into your heart. Beautiful things. And giving them, of course, a chance of getting closer to you. It's about opening up and being vulnerable. Now, when someone is emotionally unavailable, they are terrified of emotions. They are afraid of sharing because they likely have their own fears about opening up to someone else. They feel that it will make them come across as weak or vulnerable, as I mentioned. But when you share yours, you will be met with a feeling of judgment and resentment. What you need to understand is, just because he fears about getting attached and responding to your emotional sharing, it does not mean, very importantly, that your feelings are bad or wrong to share. However, you need to be aware that judgment about your emotions may be a warning sign that he will either continuously shut you down emotionally or will leave when he feels threatened emotionally. And this is a toxic dynamic to stay in. That brings me to my next point. I want to talk about that feeling of insecurity and being misunderstood. Now, misunderstandings are the root of conflict in many relationships. It can range from minor misunderstandings to, like I mentioned, toxic misunderstandings. You should make sure that your antenna is always switched on, that you are aware of these signs, because they can cause stress and frustration and turmoil, and probably the worst perpetrator is not feeling heard or understood. Now, the danger is, over time, if a person, in this case, you continues to feel unheard by your partner, then distance takes over. Given that every relationship encounters misunderstanding from time to time, it's pretty obvious. However, there are some relationships that are plagued by them. I don't need to remind you, that's just unhealthy, especially since you're emotionally invested in the relationship. He may be listening to the words that you are saying, but he isn't truly taking the energy to understand you or to fully grasp how the situation that you are sharing impacted you. And he may even get frustrated when you seem hurt by his lack of care. Now, let me tell you something. You deserve to feel secure and valued and loved by your partner. Emotionally unavailable men tend to be uncomfortable discussing emotions. Topics you want your man, your lover, to be there for you. Those type of things when you are dealing with painful or confusing emotions. But sadly, the emotionally distant man, he has difficulty being fully present with your feelings. This is the type of guy that you will catch looking at his phone, checking the time, or changing the subject when you talk about something that he finds uncomfortable. And last but by no means least, he lacks excitement and comes across as uninterested. You see, excitement and romance and growing love, these are fundamentals if you are committed to a relationship. It comes naturally to you. It should come naturally to you. But if he lets you do all of the relationship work, well, it's clear he is emotionally unavailable, and that will only add to your frustrations. A healthy and an emotionally fulfilling relationship, it grows over time, but it requires commitment from both of you. Although the initial infatuation settles, what does grow is a feeling of excitement, of being with someone who firstly understands you. It's that growing romantic dynamic that comes with ease and an anchoring love and connectedness. And it's a beautiful thing. If that's not there anymore, well, then the writing is on the wall. Because a healthy relationship is the steady foundation to our emotional health. And when you're in a healthy relationship, you will feel steadier, you will feel loved, you will feel secure. And this doesn't mean you won't have conflict, not at all. But it means that you have the capacity to move past disagreements and grow together. And talking about conflicts, let me ask you, and I want you to answer honestly. When conflict arises, are you always the first to apologize or make amends? You the one accommodating his moods all the time and lack of availability by trying to win him over or make him laugh all the while. His efforts at improving or maintaining the health of your relationships are minimal. He doesn't care at all. The idea of talking about problems or even admitting that they exist is unthinkable to him. Well, if that is the case, if that is the status quo of your relationship, let me remind you that this is not normal, neither healthy for your relationship to prosper. You see, your love only becomes richer and more calming to both of you when you stay emotionally attuned and caring towards one another and to the relationship. But when you're with someone who is emotionally unavailable, you won't feel any of the warm, that warm fuzzy feelings around your heart. You may have some good feelings, yes, but that's the feeling of stagnation where the good isn't growing and the love is not reciprocated. As sad as it may seem, if you notice a lack of spark and joy, don't ignore that feeling. Listen in. You deserve to be loved, to be appreciated, to be respected, and don't settle. I want to remind you, do not settle for anything less. You are worthy. Thank you so much, everybody. I sincerely hope that this video was of value to you, and if it was, can I kindly ask you, if you haven't, to please subscribe to my channel, to like this video and to share it, and leave me a comment in the comment section below. Thank you so much. I see you in the next episode. Stay blessed.